These openings are so good that mostly Grandmaster players are choosing to play them. I will teach you only the main line of each opening, not delving too deeply, because I don't want to make the videos too lengthy. My upcoming 5 chess videos are fully dedicated to these 5 chess openings, so subscribe. Back to the video. You open with pawn to d4, seizing the center. Your opponent counters energetically with knight to f6. You reinforce control with pawn to c4, and they fianchetto their bishop with pawn to g6. Moving on, you develop the knight to c3, completing principles. They mirror your move with bishop to g7. You push pawn to e4, gaining space. They support the central pawn with pawn to d6. The game heats up. You develop the knight to f3, preparing to castle kingside. They respond by castling kingside. You connect your rooks with bishop to e2, and they counter with pawn to e5, challenging your center. Now you secure your king with kingside castling, and they target your central pawn with knight to c6. Here comes the critical move, pawn to d5, gaining space, challenging their center and opening up lines. The Sicilian defense is already one of the most complex and vast topics in chess due to its numerous variations. In this video, I am showing you the main line of it. As white, your opponent starts the game with pawn to e4, and you, as black, reply with pawn to c5. Entering the dynamic Sicilian defense, they reinforce with knight to f3, and you solidify with pawn to d6. Continuing, they strike at the center with pawn to d4, opening the game. You capture with pawn takes d4, maintaining central presence. Developing, they play knight takes d4, and you respond with knight to f6, focusing on central control. The game takes a specific turn with their knight to c3, a6, a characteristic move of the Najdorf variation, combining defense with potential queenside expansion. The next one is the Ruy Lopez, which is Magnus Carlsen's favorite opening. The opening begins with pawn to e4, claiming the center. In response, your opponent mirrors the central control with pawn to e5. You develop the knight to f3 for early influence. Your opponent reinforces the central pawn with knight to c6. The bishop is introduced to b5, starting the Ruy Lopez. Your opponent challenges the bishop with a6. Maintaining the bishop's presence, it is relocated to a4, keeping pieces active. Your opponent consolidates with knight to f6, establishing a sturdy presence. Kingside castling secures your king behind a solid pawn structure. Continuing smoothly, your opponent fortifies the central position with bishop to e7. You introduce a pawn break, maneuvering the rook to e1, preparing for potential central expansion. Queenside pawn play is initiated as your opponent advances with b5, setting the stage for a dynamic middle game. Next one is Italian game, which sequence begins with pawn to e4, vying for control of the center. The board comes alive with knight to f3, knight to c6, introducing the knights and laying the foundation for development. Then, the Italian game unfolds with bishop to c4. White strategically positions the bishop on c4, e'ing f7 and supporting the central pawn on e5. Now, black faces choices, and one popular continuation is bishop to c5. This move allows black to develop the bishop while engaging in a nuanced struggle for central dominance. Number 1 is Queen's Gambit. The Queen's Gambit is a top-tier chess opening renowned for its strategic depth, versatility, and historical significance. Involving a pawn sacrifice, it fosters diverse middle game positions, making it adaptable to various playing styles. Its rich history and sustained popularity contribute to its prominent position in chess lore. Additionally, the Queen's Gambit Netflix miniseries, although not centered on the opening, has significantly boosted chess's widespread appeal, inspiring a surge of interest in the game. The opening begins with white moving a pawn to d4, securing a central position. Black responds by mirroring with d5, preparing for piece development. The next move, c4, is known as the Queen's Gambit, where white offers a pawn to gain control of the center. Black accepts by capturing the pawn. As the game progresses, white plays nf3, bringing a knight into play while aiming to regain control of the c4 pawn. Black responds with nf6, developing their knight and defending the captured pawn. The move e3 is made by white to support the central pawn structure and prepare for kingside castling. Black advances e6, allowing the development of the bishop on c8. White recaptures the pawn on c4 with the bishop. White ensures the safety of their king. Black then plays a6, a move that prevents potential threats and prepares for potential expansion on the queen side with b5. Okay, this was a very summarized chess lesson covering these 5 chess openings. However, in my next video, I will delve into a deep analysis of the King's Indian defense. But before that, you can check out my previous video where I explained the Caro-Kann defense in a straightforward manner.